The Mad Titan was gone, or so he thought. But when the void opened, something far worse came back with him. Superman sensed it, a shift in cosmic balance no one could explain. And Loki, the god of mischief, broken and forgotten, saw a path to redemption. Together, they were Earth's last hope and its greatest risk. Because when enemies unite, the end is never far behind. The universe had gone quiet, too quiet. After the events of Endgame, the cosmos seemed at peace. Civilizations were rebuilding, galaxies recovering. Heroes, exhausted and scattered, tried to find meaning in a world that no longer felt threatened by the inevitable snap of a tyrant's fingers. But peace is deceptive. Somewhere beyond the known dimensions, past the edge of the quantum realm, and deep into a realm only whispered about by ancient celestials, the void stirred. The void is not a place. It's a wound, a scar left behind by forgotten gods and erased timelines. And in that wound, something began to pulse. It wasn't life. It was Thanos. Not the Thanos the Avengers faced. Not the warlord who wielded the Infinity Gauntlet and saw balance as salvation. No, this version, reborn from nothingness, was stripped of his purpose, yet fused with forbidden truths the universe was never meant to know. He returned not to snap, but to merge. Meanwhile, far across the galaxy, Superman, the last son of Krypton, hovered silently above Earth's upper atmosphere, eyes closed, sensing vibrations in the cosmic field. To most, space is empty. To him, it sings. And this time it was screaming. Kal-El had felt anomalies before, gravitational spikes, alien incursions, phantom zone breaches. But this was different. It was like the multiverse had flinched, like a giant hand had tugged at the fabric of reality and let go. He opened his eyes, red with tension, focused. Thousands of miles below, the Justice League was unaware. Even the Martian Manhunter couldn't trace the ripple. Batman, in his cave, dismissed it as solar flare data corruption. But Superman knew, whatever was coming, it wasn't natural. It wasn't even evil. It was beyond definition. The world kept spinning, unaware, but in a crumbled temple in deep space, guarded by no one and forgotten by most. Something began to glow. A cracked golden helmet, the helmet of Dr. Fate, hummed with tremors, its enchantments reacting not to magic, but to cosmic imbalance. Back on Earth, Superman traveled to the only being who might understand this, Dr. Fate himself. Kent Nelson's voice trembled even through the magical wards. You weren't supposed to feel that yet. He's not just returned. He's redefined himself. You don't understand, Kal-El. This isn't a war we can fight with heat vision. Superman narrowed his gaze. Who returned? Fate turned slowly. Thanos. The word hit like a black hole. Not because of what Thanos had done, but because of where he had been. To return from the void meant he had survived death itself, and came back with knowledge that could unravel existence, not just end it. You can't face him alone, Fate warned. Even your light will be swallowed. Superman clenched his fists. Then who can help me? That's when Dr. Fate spoke a name that made Kal-El pause. Loki. Superman didn't speak. He didn't need to. The silence between them carried centuries of distrust. Loki, the god of mischief, the architect of chaos, a trickster who switched sides as often as he breathed. But fate was clear. If you want to understand Thanos, if you want a chance to counter his madness, you'll need someone who understands divine mischief, chaos magic, deception, and more importantly, someone who wants to be redeemed. Loki had disappeared after Ragnarok, presumed dead, or lost in some pocket dimension after stealing one of the remaining time fragments. Even Thor couldn't find him. Perhaps he didn't want to be found. But Superman had made a decision. Within hours, he left Earth's atmosphere. No fanfare, no goodbye, just purpose. Because this wasn't about protecting a city. This wasn't about saving Lois or Metropolis. This was bigger, older. Thanos had not just returned. He had brought concepts with him. Entities with no names. Creatures that existed between realities. And every second there remained Earth, and every Earth across the multiverse. edged closer to merging into a single distorted version of itself. A prison where Thanos would reign, not as conqueror, but as creator. Superman pushed through cosmic storms, chased forgotten star paths, and reached realms only mystics dared name. Eventually, he found him, Loki, alone, sitting atop a frozen monolith in the ruins of an Asgard that never existed. A timeline that had been unwritten. His green cape was torn, his scepter cracked, his smile gone, but his eyes still sparkled. Kal-El, Loki smirked. To what do I owe the divine pleasure? Come to judge or recruit? Superman landed gently. He didn't flinch. He didn't threaten. Thanos is back. I need your help. Loki chuckled, hollow and amused. So the tyrant climbs back from death, and now the Boy Scout wants the devil's help. No, Superman said firmly. I want Loki Laufeyson, the god who lost everything, to choose what side he's on when the void consumes everything. That silenced Loki, because for all his games, for all the illusion and ego, Loki had always wanted one thing, purpose. He wasn't evil. He was misplaced, misunderstood, and for the first time in centuries, someone had offered him a choice, not an accusation. He stood. Fine, Loki said, brushing off snow that wasn't real. But if I help save the universe, I get to rewrite one thing. Superman nodded. Deal. And just like that, the impossible alliance was born. One god of light, one god of lies, and a universe that wouldn't survive without both. The alliance was uneasy. Two beings, forged from entirely different truths, now stood on the same path, not out of trust, but out of necessity. Superman, the beacon of hope. Loki, the architect of lies. Their mission reached the dead zone, a collapsed segment of the multiverse where the Watchers stored forbidden knowledge, and where Thanos' presence had last been felt. As they moved through the black corridors of space, Loki hovered beside Superman, arms folded, expression unreadable. You know, Kal-El, it's almost poetic, he mused. The universe throws its last dice, and it lands on me. Superman kept flying, expression firm. You're not a last resort. You're a risk I'm willing to take. Loki laughed. It wasn't his usual arrogant smirk. This was darker. That might be the most dangerous thing you've ever said. Their destination was sealed behind layers of collapsing time. The dead zone, once a realm between realities, now fractured. The edges burned with red energy, glowing like veins of an infected multiverse. No one who entered the dead zone came back the same, or at all. As they approached the entrance, the stars began to warp. Galaxies twisted into spirals that pointed inward, like a black hole of memory. Loki's voice turned cold. Do you feel it? Superman nodded. His senses were being pulled apart. Time was breaking, forward and backward at once. Every heartbeat echoed in reverse. We're not alone, Superman whispered. And they weren't. From the edges of the zone, specters emerged. Entities without bodies, formed from collapsed timelines, echoes of possible realities. They looked like heroes, villains, and versions of themselves that had never lived. A ghostly Batman with red eyes. A twisted Thor dragging Mjolnir made of bones. A Captain Marvel with no mouth, only light. They didn't attack. They watched. One step forward. A warped version of Superman. Black suit, cracked emblem, and no pupils. Turn back. The void is no longer for the living, it hissed. Superman stepped forward. We seek Thanos. The Echo Superman laughed, a sound like static and thunder. You seek the one who seeks oneness? Then you seek your end. Before Superman could respond, Loki raised his hand. Green runes spun in the air, breaking the illusion. Enough riddles, Loki said sharply. We're going in. The specters shrieked and dissipated like smoke caught in lightning. They passed into the zone. Instantly, everything changed. There was no color, only grayscale. No sound, only the vibration of fear. The air itself felt like ash. Time bent so violently here that even Superman winced. But Loki oddly smiled. Chaos. Finally, something I understand. Deep within the zone was the library of what must never be known, a place where the Watchers hid everything too dangerous to destroy. Inside were fragments of erased timelines, prophecies that were outlawed, and knowledge that could collapse galaxies with a whisper. And in the center, a rupture. It pulsed like a wound in reality. Around it floated ancient scrolls, broken helmets, and one glowing orb, a memory core. Not from Earth, not from Asgard. It was Titan tech. Superman scanned it. The core was still active, and inside it data logs. He reached toward it, but Loki grabbed his arm. Don't touch it raw. It could rewrite your memories. Superman nodded. Loki summoned a containment field of seer magic, drawing the orb inside. The orb activated, projecting a hologram. Thanos. But this version was changed. No armor, no gauntlet, just a cloak and glowing eyes. He stood before an altar, speaking to something unseen. They called me balance. They called me death. But they never understood. The snap wasn't an end. It was an audition. Now, I am ready to merge all stories, all truths, into one. No more multiverses. No more choice. One path, one ruler, one existence. The feed cut. Superman's jaw clenched. He's not after power anymore. He's after order. Loki's face turned serious. He's learned what the Celestials feared most. Narrative convergence. If he merges the multiverse into a single timeline, he becomes reality itself. Superman stared into the void, swirling ahead. We stop him now, or we never existed at all. But as they turned to leave, the zone shifted. The rupture flared, and from it emerged a being neither of them expected. A watcher, wounded, barely stable, his form flickering like a broken projection. You shouldn't be here, it gasped. He sees you now. He knows. Superman knelt. What did Thanos do to you? The watcher raised a trembling hand, pointing back into the core. He broke the fourth seal, the boundary between fiction and function. He's heading to the Nexus world, where stories are born. Loki paled. His cocky smile dropped completely. The writer's realm. Superman looked at him. What is that? Loki turned slowly. It's where everything starts, where universes are scripted. If he reaches it, he won't just control existence. He'll rewrite us all. The Watcher collapsed into dust. Gone. The dead zone began to collapse with him. Walls of pure time folded in on themselves. Superman grabbed Loki and blasted upward, breaking through the surface as chaos closed in behind them. They emerged into open space again, but something was different. Earth wasn't where it should be. Galaxies were misaligned. The stars whispered lies. And above them, written across the sky like a glitch in space, merge sequence initiated. Thanos had started the convergence. Superman turned to Loki. How do we stop a god from becoming a story? Loki narrowed his eyes. We find the narrator. The universe was no longer the same. Superman and Loki stood in the vacuum of twisted space. Behind them, the dead zone collapsed into a singularity. Before them stretched something alien, a sky where stars formed words, and gravity bent toward meaning rather than mass. They had crossed into the Nexus thread, the pathway to the writer's realm, a place beyond reality, where every universe was born from thought, and every timeline traced back to a single source of narrative design. But now that source was corrupted. Thanos had reached it first. The stars whispered fragments. Merge, rewrite, control, erase. Loki hovered beside Superman, eyes scanning the chaotic folds of space-time. We're past the edge now. This isn't creation anymore. It's editing. Superman's fists clenched. The multiverse wasn't just unraveling. It was being restructured. Every thread, every decision was being overwritten by one hand. And that hand belonged to the Mad Titan. They flew forward, through concept storms, through collapsed metaphors, through the ashes of universes that never made it to canon. As they approached the outer rim of the writer's realm, they saw something even more disturbing. Earth. But not their Earth. This one floated in a silver void, frozen, simplified. It wasn't a planet, it was a template. A compressed version of every Earth ever imagined, with landmarks stacked like puzzle pieces. The Daily Planet spire fused with Stark Tower, Wakandan mountains bleeding into Gotham skyline. And standing atop it were Guardians. At first glance, they looked like heroes. But their presence was wrong. Superman's eyes narrowed. Loki's voice was a low whisper. They've been rewritten. The Guardians stepped forward. Captain America. But his shield now bore Thanos' symbol, not the star. Wonder Woman. Her lasso glowing violet instead of gold. The Flash, but with eyes like static and skin that flickered with unread code. Black Panther, cloaked in silence, his movements in perfect sync with a script being read somewhere far away. They were not alive. They were controlled drafts. A voice echoed across the sky, deep, commanding, and cold. Conflict maintains structure. Let them test your conviction. It was Thanos, not yelling, not roaring, simply speaking as the author of fate. The battle came fast. Wonder Woman charged first, striking with a corrupted version of a lasso of truth. It wrapped around Superman, not just binding his body, but injecting false memories. A future where he joined Thanos, where he ruled Earth as a god king under the Titan's pen. But Superman burned it off with solar fury, eyes glowing like twin suns. Captain America's shield struck Loki midcast, knocking him through collapsing logic. But Loki laughed. Even rewritten legends didn't account for his unpredictability. He snapped into 6 illusions at once, forcing Cap into a paradox where every version of him had already lost. The Flash blurred toward Superman, aiming to overwrite him with raw speed, rewriting every second of his life in milliseconds. But Superman grounded himself in the present, countering speed with clarity. One punch, well-timed, shattered the illusion of speed and knocked Flash back into the void. Black Panther moved without sound, but Loki whispered one word: reveal. The script behind the rewritten Panther peeled away. He had no soul, just instructions. Code. Loki collapsed the code. The Guardians fell, not defeated, but released. Their rewritten forms dissolved into stardust, whispering thank you as they vanished. Superman turned to Loki. They weren't real, were they? They were echoes, Loki said, wiping blood from his lip. Templates Thanos used to gatekeep the realm. Test if we were willing to fight what we loved. They reached the center of the writer's realm. It didn't look like a throne. It didn't need to. It looked like a desk, floating, infinite in depth, covered in quills made of dying stars, and papers that bled when written on. And behind it was Thanos, not armored, not monstrous, simply present. He looked up and smiled. You arrived. Good. Now, let me show you the final draft. He flicked his fingers. A manuscript unrolled midair. Superman watched in horror. It was a new timeline, already half-written. Krypton never exploded. Asgard never fell. The Avengers and Justice League were merged into a single loyal force called the Absolute Order. Free will gone. Conflict edited out. And at the center of it all, one constant. Thanos, eternal guardian of unity. You don't need to fight me, he said calmly. You need to let me finish. This isn't a war, Kal-El. It's an edit. Superman stepped forward. You took their choices. Thanos met his gaze. I gave them peace. Loki scoffed. Peace isn't the absence of pain. It's the freedom to choose it. Thanos looked at him with genuine curiosity. And yet, you betrayed every ally you ever had. Why now? Loki didn't smile. For once, there was no trick. Because no story's worth telling if it ends with just one voice. Thanos stood. Reality bent as he moved. Then let's write the climax together. The writer's realm shook. Behind Superman and Loki, universes began falling in, collapsing into the timeline Thanos was finalizing. If they didn't act now, this would be the last story ever told. He's not just rewriting fate, Superman whispered. He's deleting everything else. Loki opened a portal, slicing through the narrative web. Then let's crash the author's desk. They charged. The final battle hadn't begun. It was already being written. Unless they could change the ending. The writer's realm cracked. With a single step from Thanos, the floor beneath Superman and Loki shifted into parchment. The air thickened, not with smoke, but with narrative intent. Every movement, they made was being translated into sentences above them. Lines of floating text appeared midair. Superman rushed forward, determined but doomed. Loki hesitated, as he always did, shackled by self-doubt. They weren't just in danger, they were being written into defeat. Superman flew at Thanos with blinding speed. A heat vision blast cracked open the desk of stars. But before the blow landed, the words rewrote themselves. Superman's attack missed, redirected by a ripple of fate. And just like that, he was thrown sideways, crashing into a wall of half-finished universes. Loki snarled, "He's scripting our failure." Thanos didn't raise a hand. He didn't have to. Every thought became law. He spoke slowly, confidently. "You two represent variables. Chaos, emotion. But I found the formula for peace. One ending, one ruler, no questions." Loki conjured a dagger made of misdirection, slicing toward the manuscript. The blade pierced the pages, and the stars bled ink. For a second, the script glitched. Superman seized the moment. He burst forward again, faster this time, not attacking Thanos, but grabbing the manuscript itself. The paper burned under his touch. He wasn't just holding the future, he was burning it into his hands. But the story fought back. Every page turned became a memory erased. He forgot his father's face, then his mother's voice, then Lois. Superman stumbled, dazed. "He's rewriting me." Loki reached him, grabbed his arm, and whispered a single word into his ear, an ancient Asgardian rune of identity. Superman's memories surged back like a tidal wave. And now something shifted. Not in the room, in the script. A new line appeared, unbidden, written by neither of them. The heroes chose their own words. Thanos paused, for the first time, confused. "That wasn't mine." Loki smiled wide. "Of course not. You forgot the one law of storytelling." He pointed above them. "Characters evolve." Loki reached into his own chest and pulled out a scroll, not of fate, but of self-declaration. A backup version of himself he had hidden chaos, unreachable by prophecy. With a dramatic twist, he wrote his own sentence into the sky. Loki chose to lie to fate itself. Suddenly, he duplicated, not into illusions, but into versions of himself that Thanos hadn't written. King Loki, Kid Loki, Classic Loki, all defiant, all rewriting. Superman rose, inspired. He shouted, voice echoing across the writer's realm. "I am Clark Kent, Kal-El, son of Krypton, Earth's protector, and I choose my own ending." His words carved themselves into the sky, displacing Thanos' lines. The script began to break. Thanos bellowed, no longer calm. "You cannot edit destiny." Loki answered, "We're not editing it." Superman finished, "We're rewriting it." Together, they punched through the final line. Reality shattered, not into chaos, but into possibility. And somewhere far away, the universes began breathing again. The writer's realm was collapsing, not from destruction, from liberation. As Superman and Loki shattered Thanos' final script, the lines of reality splintered into glowing threads, scattering into the void. For the first time in eons, the multiverse was unwritten, free to rebuild itself without the shadow of control. Thanos stood in the storm, no longer a titan, but a fading echo. He reached out toward the falling pages of his masterpiece. "You don't understand, chaos doesn't save anyone." Superman, hovering with the light of 10 suns burning behind him, answered, "But freedom does." Loki descended beside him, his cloak torn, crown shattered, but smile intact. Besides, if stories didn't surprise you, what would be the point? Thanos fell to his knees. He wasn't defeated in battle. He was defeated in meaning. The pen that wrote reality now floated, weightless, between all three of them, glowing, pulsing, waiting. One of them had to make the final mark. Superman looked at it, then at Loki. "If we write the wrong thing, we reset everything," Loki finished. "Too far one way, order. Too far the other, collapse." They had one chance, not to rewrite the universe, but to set it free. Loki stepped forward. "Let me. I know how stories work." Superman didn't argue. Not this time. Loki had earned more than trust, He had earned belief. Loki raised the pen. For once, his hands didn't shake. He whispered to it. Not a grand speech, not a boast, just one line, ancient, personal, and precise. The pen ignited in green-gold flame, then dissolved into stardust. Instantly, the multiverse stabilized. Worlds realigned. Lost timelines reignited. Heroes who had been rewritten remembered who they were. On a distant Earth, Batman opened his eyes. On another, Spider-Man dropped from a rooftop, confused but whole. Across reality, free, will rebooted. And in the sky above all universes, a single phrase burned across the stars. Every story is worth telling until its final page. Loki collapsed. Not dead, but drained. Superman caught him mid-fall. You did it, Cal whispered. Loki coughed a laugh. Of course I did. I'm Loki. I always do eventually. As reality healed, a portal opened. Not from magic, not from tech, but from balance. Their way home, Superman carried Loki through the light, watching as stars reformed into constellations. Galaxies spun to rhythm, and Earth returned to its rightful orbit. Back in Earth's sky, Superman hovered above the world he saved again. But something inside him had changed. He had seen behind the curtain, touched the ink that wrote existence, and watched a villain become a savior. Before disappearing, Loki left him a message, scrawled into the clouds with leftover magic. Even the strongest heroes are just stories until they choose to mean something. Superman smiled. Somewhere out there, Loki lived. Maybe hiding, maybe watching, maybe writing his next chapter. But for now, Earth was safe. And the final word belonged to no one. Because now everyone could write their own.